This is NDTV, and you're watching Classics.
আমার 106.2 FM-এ
হয়তো তোমারই জন্য
বাইরের কোনো পোকামাকড় আপনার বাড়িতে সমাজ রাখতে পারবে না।
Kolkata's best music.
Calcutta is no more looking at itself as a shy Charulata hiding behind her binoculars and looking out of the window. She is with it, with the rest of what is happening in terms of the consumer movement that has brought in a whole lot of options for young people here. Interestingly, what is also happening is that lifestyles are changing. People who used to shop only for their red bordered saris for puja at Gadiyahat now go to the super malls and are buying contemporary clothes. And of course, the corporate culture is changing. The black spot of the unionization of the companies that are taking place in. All that is changing now. The red government, I mean the hammer and sickle has gone designer.
From the hub of imperial commerce to the capital of one of India's two left-dominated states, Calcutta has the layers of its history and its contradictions deeply woven into its landscape and its psyche. The city today has become a symbol of yet another contradiction of sorts between what the left often says at the center and its own policies in West Bengal.
না যমুনা কোথাও আমি কলকাতা ছাইরা নাজম 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 নাজম
It's the first mall in Calcutta. It's the first multiplex in the city. I mean, it's a 200,000 square feet mall, and the Washington Post, the Far Eastern Economic Review, Wall Street Journal, they've all quoted Forum as the emblem of the changing face of the city. The B store here, it's the second B store in the country. That time they had just one store in Ansal Plaza. Swarovski, of course, this was the second store after their store in Chennai. Surprisingly, this store does close to 18 to 20 lakhs a month. The first Pantaloon Group's store opened in Calcutta, Gadiyahat. Till date, it's the highest turnover store on a per square foot basis in the Pantaloon Group. The country's biggest Raymond dealer is a Calcutta dealer. The country's biggest Titan dealer is a Calcutta dealer.
Do you actually have people who have the buying power in Calcutta?
It's the disposable income which really we are actually looking at, right? Because the city's cost of living is so low, the disposable incomes are very high. The other thing is, we have these old laws which sort of give substantial protection to the tenants, you know, the West Bengal Premises Tenancy Act. So most of the people living in the city are either landowners themselves or quasi-landowners. So the house rent cost, which is, you know, one of the biggest sort of chunk of cost for any salaried household, is substantially low here or almost negligible here. So Calcutta always had the wealth, right? And my personal feeling is that the generation before us, who sort of saw the glorious days of Calcutta sort of, you know, go down, the industry shutting down, the Naxal movements happening, and you know how business is not doing the way it used to do. I think somewhere that generation went into a shell. But the next generation which is coming has sort of taken over.
The malls are merely the most visible symbol of Kolkata's latest changing face. But looking at change in Kolkata is a daunting process. For one, it's a city that comments on itself more than any other. Like the much debated change in demographics of the city. It's pushed Bengalis into a minority, but has it changed Kolkata's Bengali ethos? We bring you some vignettes of our 24 hours in the city.
I think I design the kind of clothes I do because I'm from Calcutta. You know, there's a lot of intellectual stimuli all over, and I think I do a lot of detailed, evolved clothing. Because I'm from Calcutta, the city life is very slow. It gives you time to catch up with yourself and be a little more introspective.
Is the city changing though in the last few years? Are you sensing a change?
It is, I don't know if it's changing for the better or for the worse, but it is changing. There's a lot of modernization that is happening, but I still think that if there was a little bit of the old world charm that we could preserve, it would be such a much more nice city. Like if you go to London or Paris or even New York, you know, there's so much of old existing with the new. You know, today, we are breaking down all these kind of beautiful Bengali bungalows and making them into these huge concrete jungles and everything. That is what pains me. I think, the skyline's changing, and that's what worries me the most.
Chalo, take! 39A by 2B, take on! Running. Action!
Then there is the other Sabyasachi Chakrabarti, an older and renowned actor seen most recently in director Sandeep Ray's Bombay Bombay. We met him on the sets of a comedy film he was shooting for at Salt Lake City on the suburbs of Kolkata.
This is a comedy film. This is called Ake Ake Teen. We have a lot of talented Bengali actors and actresses here. And Partha is doing a wonderful job because I think he's probably the only one who's making a comedy film. I mean, most of the films that I have been playing, and I've been very heavy characters, and where at the end of the day I feel a bit run down. Why should my wife run away with someone else? I mean, there's no reason. There have been too many such stories. I would rather play a Peluda, a detective, where the children enjoy it.
The Bengalis also prided themselves. They were very self-consciously in love with their films as well.
Yes.
Is that culture changing?
I would say that most of the people these days, mainly the middle class people, have been traveling a lot. They have been visiting Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai. They have been watching these films in those auditoriums in these cities, and they had started to compare. The Bengalis were very conscious about, let's have a simple 35mm black and white film. We want to see a good story. That was the general trend, but it's not so these days. I think people are shifting from the general trend of watching good stories. They've also learned to accept technical things, and they're conscious about technical things. And then the trend came up that you have multiplexes today, and you have a sophisticated auditorium today. We have Dolby Digital sound. No, you can pass by, no problem, sir. Okay, give me a minute. বৃষ্টি আসছে নাকি? তাহলে কি বার করছিস? বলছি একটা রেকর্ডিং হচ্ছে, একটু আওয়াজটা যদি কম করতে পারি। Yes, so I am in love with Calcutta, and I'm biased about Calcutta. I think Calcutta is the only city that has every auditorium, every evening, occupied by some of the other artists. Something or the other is always happening. There is no other city in the world where you can find this. Not even Paris, not even New York, not London, nowhere.
It's true, every venue is booked. Here popular Bangla band Bhumi perform at the Kala Mandir Auditorium.
It's basically folk. It's folk, Bangla folk, but done our style, our interpretation of folk. We've got a lot of influences, whether it's Western folk or Bangla folk.
Western band scene has really gone down. I don't know what is the reason. Probably people now, as we say, we all used to have Western band scenes one point at a time, and we were discussing it earlier. We all wanted to be Jim Morrison and Robert Plant, but after that, at one point we realized, first we can't. Second is that after all, these songs doesn't belong to us. It is somebody else's. It doesn't belong to us, doesn't belong to our country, doesn't belong to our nature, doesn't belong to us.
No matter how much we pretend, we can never be Jim Morrison or Robert Plant. No way.
What is some of the Cal landscape that you find has been very much part of your lives and get reflected in
We are very sad about something that all the trees are being cut from Calcutta. I don't know, they're saying for the roads getting widened. Maybe that is also important. Maybe that is also required for the city.
In fact, we want to have a theme, where in our anniversary program, maybe we could announce that, anybody who loves Bhumi or loves Bhumi's songs, please plant at least one tree. That way you will have at least 5-6 lakh trees, planted. If they love us, they'll do it.
Industrialist Harsh Neotia is a prominent face of the immensely successful Marwari business community. Harsh is also a key mover behind the changing landscape of Kolkata, marked by his ambitious city centre, which he says is a marriage of a Western-style mall with an Indian bazaar. Designed by Charles Correa, Harsh says it reflects local aesthetics.
Just like any city, Calcutta has its own character, I think very charming. And it's a little different than perhaps other cities in India. And we tried to see that our products relate to this emotion. Just to give you 2 examples. One is, I think Calcutta as a city is a little more conservative than other cities. So we are probably not as taken in by the glitz and glamour that perhaps other cities would be taken in by. We have Kalighat painting blow-ups, which again bring that ethnic touch to it. In my other projects also, we have tried to bring in these elements.
What do you see behind this sudden explosion in many ways of various things happening in Calcutta city?
I think the roots go back to many years when the government started taking initiative to include industrial development and the development of the city. What we see now is the efforts made over several years. We see some of the fruits coming. But if I see what's happening in the last 10 years or 12 years, I'm quite optimistic that we are moving in the right direction.
If I was to ask you to name a person, or name 2 people that epitomize the city, who would they be?
Well, it's a tough call, but I think if you look at heroes in that sense, we'll have our Chief Minister definitely as a mascot of the city, who's really the face of all this change. And I think a lot is justifiably credited to him. Saurav Ganguly, without any doubt,